Right, well, I'm Jesse. Do you want my full name?
Yeah, go ahead.
Jesse McKenzie. Why am I here? I'm here largely to build tiny houses. I liked the idea of being transient, and I was living in Melbourne. I was working as a landscaper. I was pretty fed up with that kind of lifestyle and living in the city. I grew up in the country, so the city environment was never mine. So yeah, I just wanted to get out of that, and I was fed up with the wake up, go to work, come home, eat dinner, go to sleep sort of thing in a big city. It's probably become popular in Australia the last couple of years. A few years ago you'd say tiny houses and people wouldn't know what you're talking about. I think that's largely because social media. There's a lot of romanticism around the tiny house idea, and all those Instagram posts about these fantastic tiny houses in fantastic locations and everything. So I think social media has a massive pushing force behind it with the tiny house movement.
Another reason is that the nomadic lifestyle has become a reality with the internet expanding in the way that it has. People can literally just do their job on their phones and on their laptops and be on the road 99% of the time because the internet exists. So tiny houses have really been able to take off because the lifestyle that millennials are leading is so completely different.
Hi, Tammy, come in.
I get a ton of people who are looking at purchasing tiny homes, and then they want to try it out to see, is this something that's going to be suitable for me? And sometimes people come and they go, yes, this is exactly what I was thinking. This is totally what I want to do. And then there are other times where people are like, oh, I may have overthought this and maybe I'm not suited for a tiny house lifestyle. One thing that I find is that men are certainly more into the tiny house lifestyle than women tend to be. So sometimes like a spouse or a boyfriend will be bringing their girlfriends in and be like, hey, what do you think? And the girlfriend's like, I think you're insane. That's what I think.
I think the most attractive thing about living in a tiny house is it's kind of a burden to have a lot of things. And another full-size fridge.
Definitely millennials are a huge buyer of tiny houses. There's a really interesting thing that happened with millennials in that it's too expensive to be able to purchase a home on their own. They don't have the same abilities as their parents. They don't have the same buying power. It's really expensive to own a home in the United States right now. It is everywhere. It's all across the world. There are people who cannot afford to purchase housing.
In a nation that was proud of hard work, strong families, close-knit communities, and our faith in God, too many of us now tend to worship self-indulgence and consumption. Human identity is no longer defined by what one does, but by what one owns.
I reckon it's because we've seen our parents' generation do that, and it probably has something to do with World War II and coming out of that, and then their parents, and then wanting all this stuff, and then our parents kind of continuing that, but then our generation kind of looks at it and it's like, well, do we need that? We don't really need that. And then that's kind of our answer to that. It's like, well, we don't need all this random shit that we're never going to use, so let's just chill out, everyone.
What would you tell someone who's thinking about going tiny?
I'd say do it, 100%. I'd encourage them to use recycled materials. I would encourage them to build it as much themselves as they can. If they can't, I would encourage them to find someone who's willing to help them learn, because that is really important to me in the way that we're living, even if it's not living in a tiny house. But I think what people can take away from the experience of living in a tiny house is really important, because it is about downsizing. It's about reducing your living costs, which means that you're reducing emissions and all the stuff that you've probably heard of before. So yeah, I'd say at least give it a go.